for it to catch the live. I did the same thing 3 times. Yeah, I restarted after that. Okay, I'm running off Facebook and okay. All right, thanks. Okay,
I tried to be the cool king, trying to keep my composure, dealing with these moose wings. They say I'm paranoid like Kanye, all these lights flashing. Damn, wanna put me in the casket, make my center bastard. Man, I can't believe they my enemies. They trying to take all my energy. Sorta like Kerry Hillside, but you can't be the end of me. Got some wine in my chalice. Fuck niggas is trying to escape the palace. Rather they all burn in the hills or testing like Ben Wallace the malice. You know, like Auburn Hills.
You got it. How to get on the live?
Ben Wallace Malice at the palace, you know.
From my page. Let me get that.
Fuck it.
Oh, you got it? Check.
They about to feel the pressure, they really being extra, letting their feelings fester. I see it in their gestures. They wanna treat the king like a jester. Really, they all pawns, maybe lesser. All these niggas concerned with the treasure, but the crown they think they can wear it better.
Good.
Trying to bring smoke to the mokes. They planning the way it's war with the
Testing 1 2, testing 1 2.
I'm Cersei with the wildfire. I'm Tyrion with the quotes. These niggas hanging themselves. I'm just supplying the rope. Done supplying them hope. Got my sword, I'm justifying the tropes. Long cloak, my entire is dope. I bring you kids, genocide of the blokes. United Kingdom, I'm dividing the coast. I'm shacking the poster, I am Mike in the ropes. How I'm feeling, everybody can go. Heard once before, you reap whatever you sow. So, fuck all my foes, fuck all these hoes, fuck all the dough. Bow to the
Sorry, you're not gonna make this play.
No face, no case.
Check.
I only like women who I share the same pain with. I just wanna heal her so I become
Check.
painless.
Shout out to all my barbers.
We both so
Shout out to all my
in love that we both
stylists.
brainless.
We are Beards N Baldheads, your host Fat Lace. Got the flies down on earth to the left of me, true lies. I got the soul survivor Barry. We matching. We ain't matching hairlines. We got the same color going. We got the skin going. God loves you more. God loves you more. Mr. Aggie proud of himself, cousin D in the building. Yo, what up? Shout out to everybody on the IG. We got T in the building. Shout out to Soup. Happy birthday, Soap. She 29 fine again. For y'all that didn't know. And today is a super special day. I gotta use my words like Trump. Because when we talking something, when I get too excited,
Huge.
I can't even use the fancy school words yet. I can't use the Prince words.
It's gonna be huge.
I'm excited. It's huge. I like that one. We have a special young man. I'm sorry, can I say young man? We have Mr. Richard Wyatt in the building.
Pleasure to be here, gentlemen. Some good brothers tonight, man.
It's a pleasure having you because it's special when we have a young man running to be the next mayor elect in Plainfield, New Jersey. It is an honor to have you in the building. We're going to talk about a lot of topics. You know, one thing when it comes to mayors and politicians in general, a lot of times we don't know our politicians personally. So it's hard for us to connect with them. And today we're going to be asking you a few questions, having some fun. And just so the audience can know who you are, so we can know who you are. Some of us vote here in Plainfield. And going, see what it's about, see what kind of fun we're going to have, what happened to our music. And we're going to start off, do you watch sports?
Of course.
You watch sports. We had the Hall of Fame speech. We had the Hall of Fame this past weekend. And we had one of the young men. We had a young man. He started as a young man who they said was almost like the chosen one. He knew what he wanted at a young age, and he worked for it. He didn't wait for the gatekeepers to say, this is your turn. And when we're talking about Kobe Bryant. About 14 years old, Kobe felt like he wanted to probably be in the NBA. Some people might think, okay, it started when he decided to make that jump as a senior. I highly doubt that right there. We have seen you, when I say we, the people in Plainfield, be a part of City Hall. You have been the Board of Education and countless other acts of positivity and with politics at the same time. When it comes to Kobe, when it comes to you, I have heard people say he has that it factor. What do they talk about when they say you had that it factor in the hard work? Is that a good way to sum it up about you? Have you ever heard that about yourself? What are they lying?
Yeah, definitely. I heard that a lot. And for me, I wouldn't be in this position today running if others didn't think that I could lead. So like you said, I constantly been in the community and outside of City Hall and the Board of Education, the nonprofit GMC, having the mentor program, coach for the Cardinals, coach for the Vikings, the Little League baseball when we had that. Never played baseball, but I showed up to coach because they needed some men to coach. So, just doing countless things in the community, and other people was looking at me and was saying, you know what, you really care. So it's up to you. It's your time. The time is now. That's the slogan for the campaign. The time is now. The time is now. Now, I'm going to tell you when I found out, when they said that. Y'all know when we in those barbershops. Now, Cousin D, if you want to read this right here.
Oh, man. This is Tony. Tony said my prices was too high, and he do it himself. Don't be Tony.
Don't be a Tony. Your hair looks real good over there. I don't want y'all to be a Tony. Can we shout out your barber and what does it mean? How important is your barber to you and to the community?
It's important, man. That's crucial. The barber feel good, they make you look good so you feel good.
Yeah.
You could walk in, you could be feeling down, you get that fresh shape up. Well, you got the bald head, so you get the beard done.
Yeah, just hold up, y'all.
Yeah, you get the beard done and you feel like a totally new man. Yep. And even in the barbershop, so back in the day, you used to go there to get the culture. So the conversations that take place, so for me, it was school in there. To drop so much knowledge, so many jewels, and that's the importance of a barbershop in our communities. Yeah.
It is very big, and it is part of the culture. I'm going to tell you, before we even get into the culture, and you talked about my beard. There was only one time I felt, from afar, I had some animosity towards you, is this day right here with Santa Claus. His beard was bigger than mine. I had a problem. I had a problem right here. I know you mentioned the GMC. Let's talk about the GMC and giving back and talk about the culture, giving back to the community. I see this is the GMC movement right here. What is this? And tell us what GMC stands for.
So it's Gentlemen Making Changes. All right, and True Lies, so in high school it was Get Money Crew. Yeah. But as we evolved as men, and, we decided we had to start giving back to our community. So we changed the name. Gentlemen Making Changes became a full 501c3, and just hit the ground running. Started doing things in the community constantly. So
I know one of the events that you guys throw is the Halloween. Yeah. Why did we start doing a Halloween program in Washington School for the children?
So a lot of the parents started feeling like they didn't want their kids to go out trick-or-treating, so they was doing the trunk-or-treats, which was okay. But for me, it was like our kids deserve more. They need more. So we started, there was a program. We got 500 children there. We feed everybody. We make sure everybody get a lot of candy. They have the costume contest. We had DJ Little Man, all type of DJs there, and made it a real party. So, you know, I always felt like that's what Plainfield was missing. You know, we had those type of things back in the day, but somehow we lost our way. So,
do you feel we lost the city of Plainfield? Did you feel that the city of Plainfield had lost the part of their culture, part of the feelings? And how are you trying to restore these feelings? When I look at the Pop Warner, how many Pop Warner teams is there now? Is it as strong as when you were coming up?
So now we have 2. We have the Vikings and the Titans. Back in the day, we had an A squad and a B squad on every team. It was that many kids out. Today we don't have that many kids coming out to play football. And, you know, it's sad. The talent is still here, but the kids are just opting to do other things. So it's up to us in the community to go out and recruit them, get them on the field, and you know, start doing that. But you know, you the man right here. So you know, you started that pride in Plainfield. You know, so when you put on them colors, that meant a lot. And, you know, so even for me, you know, being younger than you, looking up to all y'all, it's like, you know what, I can't wait to get to that stage. You know, so you did your thing with the track, so y'all was doing the thing with football, and it was like I couldn't wait to do that. So y'all inspired so many people, and then you look fast forward today, and it's like, what happened to Plainfield? What happened to that Plainfield pride? And that's what we have to get back to.
Thank you, Barry. You have children that are in that play for the Titans, won a championship.
Yep.
How did it feel as far as the embracement from the community and being a parent and your children being in the Pop Warner system? Did they feel as embraced from winning a championship?
You know, I'll say maybe because of the pandemic that maybe they didn't get their, I would say, just due. You know, with parades and things like that. I think they might have gotten recognized more. But I think a lot of people don't even know that the Plainfield AU won the state championship 2 years ago. Because I just think it just
fell under.
It just fell under because, like you said, part of it goes to the fact that there are 2 different programs. Mm-hmm. So it splits the town mentally. Mm. So you have people that on Titans not rooting for the Vikings to win. Like, why not? We don't even play each other. So it's like, but because we're in the same town, we're divided because of the sports program. It was like that in baseball. The only sport that we do combine is basketball. Coincidence. That's why the team is good in high school. So if we follow the blueprint that the basketball program show you, those kids play all their lives together. Then they get to the high school and they're still playing. Our kids drop off in middle school, freshmen, start falling off. There's no feeder program. That's it.
You have any suggestions that can maybe help bring us together? Or even you, Richard, any suggestion that maybe that can help us bring us together when it comes to the sports?
Oh, yeah, I've been saying this for a while now. So, and just to back it up to a point of clarity, y'all did get recognized by the Board of Education. Y'all came to the meeting.
They did.
And we made sure that we recognize you all.
Yeah.
And but it needs to be one team in Plainfield.
Yeah, they did. Wish more people would come to the board meetings.
Yeah, you know, that's another topic. But yeah, we need it needs to be one team in Plainfield, and that's the only way. So, and if you take a step back, and even looking into the past, it's always the adults that can't get along, and we have to lead by example. So the kids have no problem with playing together, and they actually need to. So, you know, when I was coaching for the Vikings, so we had about maybe 13, 14 kids on our team. How many did y'all have?
Well, last year, they had about, I would say, actually had about 15, 16 years. 15,
16.
But they consistently maybe, like you said, 12.
So think about that. It's 11 players on the field at all times. So for me, it's always, if we practice an offense, you need 11 bodies in front of you on defense. And the kids shouldn't just be getting that in the game time, you know, when it's time to play the game. So it's like, what are we doing, you know, as a community? Why are we not working together collectively? And, you know, one of my biggest pet peeves is the canning. So having the kids, you know, on the corners, I know we raise a lot of money. We need the money because we're not getting the support from the city as we should. But what are we teaching our young scholars? to go in the corner, ask people for money. So we need to start teaching them entrepreneur skills. But just to back it up, it needs to be one team and playing field, and the city needs to fully back them. And if you look at other towns, they're doing it. They have successful models.
Yes.
And so I think we need to do the same thing.
Thank you.
That's no, go ahead. And I was going to say, like, and just kind of maybe brought it back to what Mr. Plummer was talking about a couple of weeks ago when he said, like, the students are kind of being punished for being entrepreneurs in school. Like, I mean, because you're not supposed to sell certain things, and, like, it's candy, but nonetheless, that's something that teaches life skills, and it's being frowned upon.
Make sure you're speaking to the mic.
Now I'm saying, so Mr. Plummer came on here, Joel Plummer came on here a few weeks ago, and he was speaking about how students would go into the classrooms and or come to school and they would sell candy, and how Richard is talking about entrepreneurship and learning how to run businesses and build money and equity for yourself. That's something that's being deterred in the school system, but it's something that will really be beneficial in the long term. It really would be.
It absolutely would.
It's discouraged.
It is discouraged. You get another point for that. And back to the y'all are making great points. And when it comes before we even get to school, some stuff starts at home.
Correct.
And I know you're Omega Psi Phi, correct?
Are you?
Yeah, I think this brother right here is too. Right here, Steve Harvey. That's what I heard. And Steve Harvey has one of my favorite shows, Family Feud. And with Family Feud, Jay-Z has a song I think called Family Feud. And no one wins if the family feuds. You see this family right here, one of the most talented, successful families, but they feuded. And Rebe lost the deal. Janet, with Penny, she was successful. I don't know what Toya. Well, you know what Toya did, but I like this family right here that promotes positivity. And you started from home. Why is it so important for you to promote positivity from home out there? Because this is on social media, and people get ridiculed for social media and exposing their families. Privacy is very important. Why did you feel like this was important for your campaign to show your family in a positive light?
So not even about the campaign, it's more of a community sense. So we have to start getting back to that family essence as a community. It's frowned upon today, social media, the reality TV shows, you see families broken apart. And our communities suffer from those things. So I found it important. Like I was just watching some shows the other day, The Cosby Show. And I'm just, watching them, I'm like, this show it was a great show. Like, you learn so much from those things. But for me, with my family, my wife, we talked. So as soon as she was on board with everything, so, I'm busy in the community constantly. So that was important, finding a partner who was willing to, roll up her sleeves as well. So we felt like we had to make sure we instilled that in our children. So, and they have their own programs. They run their programs. They're constantly doing community service, but imagery is important. So that's one of the main reasons we say, you know what, we have to start showing. We got to be the change we want to see.
Have to be the change that we want to see. This past weekend, I was in Baltimore, Maryland, and Baltimore, Maryland is I think where you went to school.
That's right,
Morgan State, Morgan State University. You were around First of all, you're around a lot of black people from all over the country, all over the world, that look like you, that were going for the same goal of education. What does we're gonna get to that. Thank you, Chance, on the check. And shout out to everybody on the check and the Facebook. We are gonna get to your questions. Please, we definitely are. What did it mean to go to a HBCU? Why did you choose it? And would you suggest, or would you promote that for other students out here coming up? What was the importance of the HBCU?
Man, it's learning that history. And like you said, you just laid it out. Being around people that look just like you, who have high aspirations. And, now that I'm older, I look back and I'm like, it was golden years. Being able to learn from one another, different
Aren't y'all
cultures.
the Golden Bears or something like that?
Nah, the Bears.
The Bears.
Bare necessities. Yeah,
Bear necessities. Ooh.
Yeah, but also, I transferred to Delaware State. That's where I graduated from. So Delaware State too. But, HBCUs, would I promote them? Yes. So for me, I was going to Rutgers, but I had a teacher, Mr. Stans, So he was, real pro-black our senior year, showing us all these movies. So then he like, come on, Ak, why are you going to Rutgers? So, we all laughing, but I started really watching these documentaries, started doing my research. And I said, you know what? My mother was from Baltimore. She was originally from Baltimore. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go to Morgan State University. And that was one of the best decisions that I ever made in my life. And it prepared me to be the leader that I am today.
Thank you. Now, Cousin D is Mr. Aggie Pride. Did he make the best decision or the second best decision?
He made a good decision.
Made a good one?
We always support, you're not the best one.
I'm just making sure,
We're
Dick.
not going to hold him. We're not going to hold him.
All right.
Because he went to 2, so,
Okay.
You get extra credit for going to 2.
Did the 2 equal the A and the T?
No, just the A and the N sign.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
Not to the T yet.
Just making
sound
sure.
Like Kelly Shaw right now.
Also in Baltimore, some similarities that parallel with you. Their mayor right now is a young brother.
Yeah. Brandon Scott. Mayor
Young
Scott.
brother right now. Brandon Scott.
That's right.
Brandon Scott. I think he's about 37. Afro. He looked like he went to the barbershop that Barry went to. Look at that. Yo, my fro was like this. Gee, remember my fro was like this? Yo,
Some time ago.
what the?
Where the receipts at?
That's sharp.
bro?
Right
Yo, man, I used to have him up there. That's a sharp one. In the hip hop, young man. What made you, as a young man, because this, like I said with the Kobe, this did not start last year. What made you want to get into politics? Period.
So I never wanted to get into politics, to be honest. I just really, cared about my community. And, so I started working diligently in the community. We started the Dad's Club at Cook School. So when I first started that program, people were like, you need to run for the Plainfield Board of Education. So at first I'm looking, I'm like, okay, I got a young family. There's things I need to, accomplish before I do that. So I'm like, you know what, let me just put my name in. Had the opportunity to win, got on the Plainfield Board of Education. I was there, and then that's when I realized how important politics are and how much politics destroy things as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, we all say, and I started off saying I didn't want to be a politician, but now I need to be a politician. So you want people that really care to be in that room where things happen. So a lot of us, we shy away from it, and they want us to shy away from it because they say, you know what, if they're not paying attention, then we can continue to keep things at a status quo. And it's time for a change. So, I'm sitting at the table, I'm trying to constantly get things done, things that you think that when people sit down, they would say, oh, this needs to happen right away. It should have happened 10 years ago. Things like bringing back vocational training to the schools, things like expanding PAWS and having an auditorium at our performing arts school, redoing the Hubstein complex, bringing lights there so we can go back to the Penn relays and having night games and start really bringing back that Plainfield pride. And you sit at the table and people are like, no, we don't need any of those things. So for me, it was mind-boggling at first, but it's like, this is politics. You need to be involved. You need people there that really care. So,
How much have you learned from people who've been in your position? Maybe like a Brandon Scott or a Ras Baraka from Noah Cool. And I know Ras Baraka, he was independent. He wasn't funded by Essex County that can pay for the radio ads, that can pay for the billboard signs, that can pay for, like, all people. Sometimes they don't understand how much money politics cost. And to know about who your senator or your mayor or whoever this one may be, it costs money to run. It's not just a Facebook ad. And I know Ras Baraka, he was an independent. He wasn't funded by Essex County. Have you learned from any of their methods, or did you study these people from prior to where you are right now?
Oh yes, definitely did my due diligence. Definitely was able to have conversations with them before I embarked on this journey. Got the encouragement, and everything they said was kind of spot on, and I kind of witnessed that on my own. So first, when you're young and you're running a grassroots campaign, the first thing when you try to get into politics, the first thing they're gonna try to do is discourage you. After that, when that doesn't work and they say, you know what, he's staying steadfast, then they're going to try to discredit you. So after that doesn't work, they try to destroy you. So that's the next phase that we're looking at over these next couple of weeks. But, the person, the incumbent that I'm running against, he came out the gate with $350,000 ready for re-election for a small town like Plainfield.
Oh.
And here I am calling
Maybe you
people.
could donate to Beards N Baldheads. There goes the cash out. Well, continue.
But here I am calling people and asking, like, hey, you mind donating $20? You mind donating $50 for this campaign? And but you know, love the process, love the journey, and you know, I just gonna look back on June 8th and you know, be proud, be happy about it all when we celebrate our victories. So
We celebrate our victories. It's like I said, I don't know a lot about politics as much. I'm still learning. I know violence has been constant. Not constant. It's been constant.
Yeah.
Now, hey, let's be clear. I'm sorry, guys. Yes, it's been constant.
I'll say, 'cause we can talk about what's not reported too.
And
say that again.
and I was just with some shout out to my girl Erica down in Baltimore, part of the ceasefire movement out there in Baltimore, and we know out there has been almost every 19 hours another killing in Baltimore, and she was explaining her movement and telling me how she had to be the one who just sparked the flame and started this movement in about, you know, nonviolence in killing each other. What have been some of? Tell me what's been going on. What you've been doing to show how you feel about stopping the violence.
all right, so as you all know, we just had, it was a tough weekend.
I could speak
Yeah,
for
go
him.
ahead. Yeah.
You know what I
Please
mean?
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can speak for him. I'm just like, we definitely had a tough couple weeks, and there's been a lot going on behind the scenes besides the stuff that's been headlined, as far as just violence and you know, I mean, you know, guns and stuff like that. But I'll say this, and quietly, and I do respect it because it's been quiet. You know, when we're at these vigils or we're at these families' homes, there's no cameras or anything like that. But I see Richard there. You know what I mean? And I see him popping up in the rain with no coat. You know what I mean? And he's not expected there. He doesn't have to be there. I don't know his ties to anyone specifically. I mean, he may know people because he's from the community, but it matters when you're there, when you show up.
How did it make you feel, T?
Well, me, that felt that was sincere, like that was real, like, because I don't see the incumbent there. I've never seen the incumbent there when it wasn't a camera out. You know, what I did see specifically, you know, when we had our violence. What was the Black Lives Matter stuff going on last year? Like I know he was front and center for that, but when we needed something to get us community healing, he wasn't okay with that. And I'll leave it at that. I ain't gonna get too much into that, but nonetheless, it just tells you it tells you whose heart is in the right place.
Understood. I believe you. Thank you.
I don't even want him to explain that.
But we do have to allow. But you speaking as a voter, but I understand. But in a man of the community, I do want to ask. You did have an event that was supposed to happen. It was a prayer for Plainfield. Yes. Supposed to be a movie after, and it got shut down. I know. I had from previous experience with Crew Love Entertainment, we would throw Stop the Violence cookouts. We all were a part of it. Shout out to my brother Jock down in the A and brother Seth Fast, everybody who was a part of it. We would have a struggle to keep it in Plainfield because the city, even though it stopped the violence, it would bring. Sometimes I think it was a fear of violence. For whatever reason, it would be a fear. So we had to stop using the city parks and had to start using Cedarbrook Park, which is a county park. Exactly. And when the county park was used, we didn't have any issues with the city. I know you used the county park, and you still had an issue. Let's explain why the issue still occurred. And it was very last minute. And I know you have to put in for. Me personally, I know you have to put in for the permit. Yeah. How did that happen so fast?
So one, I would like to shout out Sarah, my campaign manager. But did the application, got everything approved, had the permit. We started the promotion, and it was really and it was just going to the candlelight visuals, and it's like you look around and you realizing like our community is hurting. just all those deaths back to back. And it was just like almost every night we had a candlelight visual. We hearing that another person has passed away. So once you there and you amongst the people, you look around and it's like, they really hurting. You seeing young people crying, you seeing older people crying, they hurting. So it's like, you know what, it was National Prayer Day. So we already had a Wyatt Week planned. So he's like, we're gonna do a movie night just to start bringing back like the family essence to the community. So with everything going on, you say, you know what we're gonna do is do a National Day of Prayer, right? So we reached out to pastors, we reached out to a lot of people. So put the flyer up, it started getting shared. So behind the scenes, somehow we get an email that night around 8 o'clock from the county's attorney saying that the permit was canceled due to COVID, and they couldn't determine how many people were going to show up, so they canceled the event. And then tried to say we needed more things in the application just to cover themselves. But, you know, it's a savvy politician. He has long reach, long arms. You know, when you have people like Nick Scutari come and do endorsements, and Governor Phil Murphy, that shows how far your reach is. However, if you're not using those relationships for the betterment of the community, then it doesn't matter.
If I can interject.
Yes, you may, TJ. Thank you.
Just a question. Well, I mean, you don't have to answer this. It's just as me speaking. I didn't even want to get into that, but since you brought it up to him, my question and the reason why I brought up to stop the violence. I'm sorry, not the Black Lives Matter part, is because that was in the height of the pandemic. That was in the height of COVID. And that's in the middle of Park, what was that, Park Ave? Watch on, middle of Watch on. You know, I'm crazy with directions, but that's in the middle of Watchung Avenue. And if you're promoting that and allowing several of them to happen with no mask mandate, then that would mean that you can't control how many people show up either. So why is it that a year later that when Richard tries to do that, you're concerned about how many people will show up? And again, that's where the sincerity comes in. Because that wasn't about, you know, whether or not that your Black Lives stuff was a photo op. And that's why you see it on the screen. I mean, that's why you see it on the streets. That's why you see it on the hanging up downtown on Front Street. That's why you see it, because that's pandering. That's a photo op. That's what that is. But no, that's what that is.
I'm not saying that.
That's what's going on. But you see somebody else come out. You see him come out there. He's trying to do something, and you shut it down. So you got to give me the difference. You got to tell me.
Let me interject with this well moment. Now, the views politically or just emotionally or just how we feel on this platform are not the views for the whole station of BKS1.com and BKS1 Radio Network. Let me put that out there right here. I just want to say that we are here for the platform and support. So I just want to put that out.
It was a question. It was a question.
It was a question. And so I just want to put that out there.
You're supposed to.
So, and you're supposed to as a voter, but just as a platform and as us as journalists, I want to make sure that we know we are neutral. We just, we're here to ask the questions. Definitely. So just want to put that out.
I do have a question though. Why does to me, does it seem like there's a disconnect between the city and the Board of Education? Because why do we have to go to the county for space when we have all these school areas that we could go to? Football field, high school. That's what I'm saying. So we looking to the county for help. Why not our own town? We have access to stuff.
What, having events?
Yes. Like, why does the city and the Board of Ed seem not to be on the same page all my life? I just don't understand that part.
It's the politics, and they create red tape, and there's so many organizations that try to do positive things for our community, and they can't do it because of the politics and all of the red tape that's there.
That's crazy to me. I mean, you go to other towns, like I'll just throw Skyway, they're right next door. They're always having events at their schools, and it's town events that they have on school property. So they don't have to go to parks and stuff like that and get permits. So that's why I just don't get it.
How being that you say it's politics, how can we bridge them together? Bridge the political side and the school side together. Is there a way that we can?
There is. So first, let me make this disclosure, since you're making disclosures as well. I'm speaking as a mayoral candidate here and not a Plainfield Board of Education member, so I just got to put that out there before people file charges against me. But yeah, man, it's about the way that we connect those gaps is saying you got to be intentional about it, right? So it's like tug of war for power. Right? And then the people that are tugging, you take a step back and it's like, how many of these people really care about the community? So for me, you can't lead the community if you don't love the community. So it's like, why are you here? So and even just up on this throughout this journey, I feel like a lot of pillars in our community, a lot of people that I've looked up to all of my life, they're afraid. And some on one hand I get discouraged, but then I'm like, no, it's a time for a change. If change was easy, then everybody would be on board. Change would constantly happen. But so many people, it saddens me. People that you look up to, and it's just like, wow, you're afraid to talk to me. You're afraid to be seen taking a picture with me. You're afraid to like stuff on Facebook or Instagram because of the political environment that's going on.
I heard, I was watching an interview of you prior to, and you had mentioned that if there are people talking to you in City Hall, they'll get pulled away and ask, why did you have a conversation with Richard? What was that about? And I can understand, just as someone who has a family, it can be hard when your job might be on the line. I'm not sure how deep and who is pulling them in at all, but why or what has been the concern?
So let me back it up. So I work for the city. I don't know if y'all know that, right? So I work for the city tax assessor's office over a decade. My wife works for the city. My mother works for the city. So I understand that everybody needs to feed their family, but you got to have the courage. If you look at me, a person from Plainfield, I know for sure that if something crazy happened and we weren't successful on June 8th, that June 9th I would be out of a job, right? So I don't know how many of you saw the debate. Did y'all watch the debate? All right, but the debate, just the way.
How can we watch it? Can we watch it again?
Yeah, you can watch it.
How can we watch the debate?
It's on YouTube on the League of Women's Voters. They hosted the forum.
Okay.
So all 4 candidates were on there. It was pretty interesting. But what happened was it allowed the incumbent was exposed for his demeanor and how he's a dictator, and the type of environment that he creates, where people who have known me, like I told you, my mother's been working there 35 years now. So some of these people have literally known me since I was a baby and are afraid to speak to me. So that's the type of environment that he has created. And in the city of Plainfield, we have to lead by example. So if our leaders are acting like that at the top, then how can we expect the young people in the streets who are doing the shootings and doing the fightings and the beefing back and forth to do anything differently?
And to go into that, because it kind of answers your question earlier, the reason why they're scared is because they don't want to be uncomfortable again, because you might lose something. And I mean, that's just human nature. You don't want to lose things, but people have to realize that in order for us to get into a better position, we all have to sacrifice a little bit. And as a community before, we would be more willing to do that. But the more and more capitalism is prevalent, the less that's going to happen, because you have a lot more to lose. The higher up you get, the higher you get, you have more to lose.
But I mean, like you said, I've seen, like you said, on a different scale of the politics, dealing with sports, how people try to straddle the fence. They're not sure, because like, okay, if that ship sinks, I could have my foot on this side and I can jump on that one. But if that ship doesn't sail, I can still get right back where I was at. Yeah. So that happened with me with coaching. New coach coming in, I'm in the middle, and I'm like, look, I just want to coach. They want me to pick a side. So we got people not wanting to talk to me. Nobody wants to say anything. They want asking me whose side you on. I don't. Anybody just want to coach. So I like I said, that's on a whole smaller scale. So I can't even really imagine. What you doing?
And why you say it's small? Why you say it's small? It's so connected. It's so connected what's going on, because it starts with this level right here.
It's the wire,
with
bro.
the Pop Warner.
Right.
But you know where I just was. I was in.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I made the connection.
That's indeed. Yeah, everything is connected, because once you get to a higher level, it's a lot more that is connected with those positions. And Barry, we both know.
Yes.
Saved a lot of brothers out here. We both know he didn't get saved. He should have went to a different barber.
Got that taper.
He don't have that taper. That
Don't
right.
be Tony.
He not looking good as him right here.
He got that taper.
He not just. I want to know, because he got the little curls going too. How do you get that right there? But it's funny. I'm in a lift the other day, and I'm with an African man from Ghana. Nigeria is where he was from. And he saw I was coming from Plainfield to where I was going, and he asked me about home ownership, and he says it's so hard for him to. He's living in an apartment, has 4 kids. He wants to buy a house in Plainfield. And he said it seemed like I have to jump through all these hoops, and it's such it's a lot of red tape in order for him to own a home. And other people have questions about that. They were saying, so that's one question right there about home ownership and how hard it is for some people. And I know you said you work with taxes, and somebody else had asked me and said, why haven't Plainfield homeowners felt the property tax relief? Maybe you can give us some.
So as you see in Plainfield, so much development going on, right? So these developers are getting 30-year tax breaks.
Yep.
Right? So who's moving into these developments? They're apartments that they're building. And one, they range from, some of the buildings are $1,900 for a 2-bedroom all the way up to $2,700 for a small 2-bedroom. So that's the price of a mortgage. You could be paying a mortgage for that. And if you look at our community, how many people are willing or can afford to pay those type of prices on one hand? But you're attracting renters to come into the town, right? So they're not paying any taxes. So who's carrying that tax burden? The homeowners. And then you're attracting renters into the town, but we have nowhere to spend money in Plainfield. There's no way for us to circulate dollars within our community. Like, for instance, I don't know if y'all do the grocery shopping. Where do y'all grocery shop at?
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I go to Twin City.
Okay.
But the family shopping is probably done at ShopRite.
Okay. If I gotta run in and out.
Hello Fresh.
But if I gotta get the night shopping, I used to like the Pathmark that was over on Oak Tree. I'm old school with it. I used to like all the Pathmarks. You get the crab legs for cheap. I know I like them crab legs, but not in Plainfield. To answer your question,
But the wild part after that, like after the 30 years, like they're going to be gone. They're going to be gone, and the renters are going to be gone, and it's just going to be the people here still carrying it. Because they're never really going to have to pay that back because they have, what is it, forbearance or whatever it is. They're never going to pay it back. So we just pay for it. But the game is the game. And people don't understand that type of stuff.
The game is the game. Speaking of, the different places where you're going to spend, I don't know too much about it, but I see it's not a lot of restaurants that are not black owned unless you're West Indian, and I see a lot of Hispanic restaurants, and I love my West Indian restaurant. Shout out to Best in Town, Elma's, and all of them. I love it out there. Yaba's, they got the best turkey wings out there.
Them turkey wings.
What? Slamming. Shout out to Amina's. Amina has a beautiful spot.
Right.
Cook it up. But I do not see a lot of just black. Oh, shout out to Family Flavors. Am I saying it right, Sue? Shout out to Family Flavors. It got the dope truck. Shout out to what's the wing truck?
That brisket truck. Oh, too much sauce.
Too much sauce. Shout out to Too Much Sauce. Shout out to them.
Rashawn
Devine. Now we just named 3 trucks, 1 restaurant.
Right.
I know our black people can cook. I know they can run a restaurant because if they can go to Morgan State and get an education, if they can do so many other beautiful things in Plainfield, if they can give back to their community, if they can coach, I know it's plenty that can cook and get a restaurant. Is there any correlation of why there is not just too many black just owned businesses? Businesses, period. I'm going to restaurant, but businesses, period. Shout out to Shirts and Stuff. Shout out to Mal. This is not. Shout out to BKS1. It's not too many just black owned businesses.
Well, you got to ask yourself who's buying the buildings. And how are they buying it, and what type of relationships they have, and what time of day that this happens. That's what you should start asking.
Here.
Well, that's the question that we're going to ask you right now.
No, we know the answer.
That's the question we're going to ask you.
Nah. I don't think he should answer that.
No, that's what I said. We know the answers, but you can still, you don't have to own the property to own the business.
True.
So that I'm saying, like, I ain't gonna lie, I just want to get to my question. Where's the community center?
Can we let Richard ask the question, please? I'm sorry, guys. We gotta ask one question at a time. So
thanks, True Lies. I give the politically correct answer now. But support. Our community has to get behind our businesses. So government cannot solve all of the problems, but they can help. So there's so many grants for entrepreneurs out there, and the city has a grant writer. So how are we helping our people open these businesses, to sustain these businesses, change the facade? So downtown, so when I walk downtown, it's economically irrelevant, right? So even during the pandemic, other cities were able to have nice outdoor dining, nicely lit up. Why can't we have that in our city, in Plainfield? So, but you have to be intentional about those things, and you have to want to do that for the city. And there are so many resources out there to get it done, but it has to be on your agenda. So,
has to be on your agenda. I've been in Westfield. I've been in Cranford. Go the same South Ave that runs through Plainfield. I didn't pull over and eat anywhere on South Ave, but when I saw the spot in Cranford, the tequila spot, the tequila and tacos is what it was, not just what I saw.
Cantina? You
Cantina,
mean?
I think that's what it was.
That's what you're talking
They had a lot of those places. I'm just talking
he's
the
talking about the
Mexican
Cantina
food.
Rail spot.
That spot. I saw so many restaurants just lined up, like how you're saying, but it wasn't in Plainfield. And it's great food out here.
We don't have any real sit-down restaurants in Plainfield at all.
Throw a folding chair outside.
No, we have some. We have a few. We just my question was just we don't have a lot of black owned.
Well, that's what.
But you know we had a question. And thank you.
That was my initial
Thank you,
point.
thank you, Barry. You were getting to with the community center. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I know we had at first we had the Jewish Community Center, which is on Grand Avenue at one point, which is turned into a school, and then they had the Buff, which was just called the Community Center. And that's on Central Avenue. So what happened to the one on Central Avenue?
It's a daycare.
It just turned into a daycare.
Yeah.
So if we was to get another community center, where would we be able to put it?
Yeah, that's a daycare too.
Yeah.
SSYC, South 2nd Street Youth Center. They kept the name, but it's fully a daycare.
Yep.
So that's a great question. And June 8th is January, once we take office. Because right now, every nook and cranny that they have, they're trying to sell to developers.
That's what I'm saying. Where
as
would
soon
we
as
put it?
possible. But the ideal place would be somewhere in the center of town, where both the East End and the West End, we know the issues that we have here within our community, where they will feel comfortable going to it. So before the apartments went up, the ideal location would have been where the Millenburg was. So once they decided to get rid of the hospital, a portion of that could have went to a community center. You have the field right across the street, the track and everything. The CVS, where they're building the CVS at now, would have been the ideal location. But so we just have to wait because they're still making a lot of deals now, still going through the planning process for even more apartments within the city of Plainfield. So that's just one of the things. But it's going to happen because it needs to happen.
I remember, baby, thank you. I remember about maybe 10 years ago, it was a time when we would see Richard White a lot coming from one building to the next, the Annex City Hall. And during this time, worked for Plainfield, worked for Division of Recreation. And during this time, a lot of students would come home from colleges like Morgan State. Shout out to Kev Salter out there with his new clothing line. You have boys like my boy G Money out there, Tiff from Howard, G Money from Virginia Union. So many kids who could come home and have a summer job working at the camps. Barry and I both worked for it. And after a certain time, everything got destroyed. It was no more Division of Recreation. It was no more summer jobs for the kids to come home and work and get money within their own town the honest way. I don't even think, do we still even have the Ys?
No.
So there's no more Ys. There's no more Division of Recreation summer camp. So when our students are coming home encouraged, doing the right thing, going to college, and now their degree can't even give them, they can't barely earn a cent in town. What's going on with this right here? How is this an issue of maybe sometimes what the violence is happening?
Oh yeah, it definitely is. So with the violence, so crime and violence is so everything is a cause and effect, right? So before we look at violence, we have to look at what the root causes are. So those things are poverty, unemployment, underemployment, trauma, mental health, the pain. So we really have to start looking at those things and treating those things in order to bring down, the crime and the violence that's happening in our city. So the lack of opportunities for our people. So I shared this story the other day. So I have a Ring doorbell. So I don't know if any of y'all got the Ring doorbell, but you can see what's going on. And our young people are risking their lives, breaking into people's cars to steal change, right? So some people feel like, oh, they need to be locked up. These things need to happen to them. That's sad. That's sad that our young people are at 3 o'clock in the morning walking in driveways, checking car doors just to get some change. So now you have to take a look back as a city from that perspective and say, what opportunities are we creating for the people in Plainfield? There's not many. So even with all this development going on, I talked to so many people who are contractors, like Andre Kelly. He has a paint company. Not one job has he gotten with all this development going on, all these buildings. I don't know one person, and I asked, Plainfield is a small town, 6 degrees of separation. Plainfield is probably much smaller than that. One person that's working on one of these sites, and that's a huge issue.
Yeah, we do have contractors out here. You
Yeah.
have demo people that's from Plainfield.
Yep.
And like you said, they're not getting jobs in town, but that's nothing new.
Yeah.
Because it's about who you
That's
know.
been going on for a
What
long
relationships
time.
do you have?
Yep. So
That's
even
going
on and not, we spoke about this too, the day laborers who are, standing on the street looking for work every day. It's not even saying, you know what, we need y'all to come clean this site up, we'll pay y'all. So it's no forward thinking as far as creating job opportunities and revitalizing our city coming from the current administration.
Do you have any answers to counteract with that type of concern? How can we? How would you first approach to counteract the deficit of those situations?
So the answer that they give now is there's not enough qualified people to work at. They say, oh, we have the opportunities here, but there's not enough qualified people. So I know firsthand that that's a lie. So one, if you are from the city of Plainfield, if you live in the city of Plainfield, you want a job on one of these sites, and you have the skills to do it, then you are prioritized for that position. And that's how it should be. That's how you keep money within the town. That's how you circulate dollars, and that's how we start to grow as a community.
T, you have, thank you. T, you brought up a great point. Is who you know, and we spoke about Steve Harvey. Sometimes we have a lack of brotherhood, and you are Omega Psi Phi. Shout out to my uncles out there who make South Phi. I appreciate them. I'm right here. I'm looking at, I think is that Malcolm Jenkins?
Yeah, Malcolm Jenkins.
You got Malcolm Jenkins. You got Stephen A. Smith. You got Shaquille O'Neal. People giving back to their community. Such as yourself. What is the importance of pledging in or whether it be Omega, whether it be Alpha, Kappa, and the brotherhood? What's the importance of it? And what does it mean to you?
Okay. So the importance is aligning yourself with men with like ideals. That's the importance of it. So the history is there. Just the men that you have named are all great, have done great things in life. In this room, however, we're all going to do great things in life and already have great accomplishments. But when you choose a fraternity, so Omega Psi Phi is friendship is essential to the soul, right? So that's our motto, and the implied to motto is lifting as I climb. Right, so those two things were very important for me. So growing up, watching School Days, which I'm pretty sure we all saw several times.
G5G.
Yeah. But then even in the community, looking up to some of the people, Mike Gilliam, Mike Lucky, Mo Lucky,
Yes.
So looking up to some of them and how they constantly gave back to the community and stuff, that sparked the interest for me. But then once I got to Morgan State University, and it just was a whole nother level for me.
I noticed some of your frat brothers also give back to the community. Shout out to DJ Montmont. He's also been a part of the Crew Love Cookouts for Stop the Violence. And what I've noticed with him whether it be the GMC movement with the Halloween or whether any Plainfield event, he would have younger DJs to be a part of his movement. So all right, well, it'll be him DJing, but he'll have 2 or 3 other ones grooming him, and it's kind of bridging the gap. When we ask questions, how can we bridge the gap with the adults and with the younger ones? Because I hear that a lot. Well, they're not gonna listen to us. We too old. Or I'm like, oh, there has to be something. Yeah. I feel music is a big part of how we can bridge the gap. Our parents, say if our parents are 65 and we're 35, maybe plus a little bit more, and we got some that are 5, they all listen to club music. It all brings us together. Is music a way that can bring us together?
Sure. Music, comedy, those are things that can bring. That's
a movie in the park.
Yep.
Movie in the park. Message.
Indeed.
Just wondering. I was when I was in Baltimore. It was this
Talent
Baltimore
show.
But it's a Baltimore artist, and thank you for that one, B. They have a documentary. I forgot the name of the documentary in Baltimore, and I'm gonna find it real fast. They have club music is real big in Baltimore. You know that.
Yeah, 8 down the hill.
It's real big. And this artist right here, I forgot the name. When his song came on, it started off with the police officer looking at him as if he's the ops. And then it shows him dancing and enjoying and having a good time. And then in the same documentary, they had talent shows. They showed a talent show they would have in Baltimore to bring the younger girls and the guys together, and $500 cash prize. It was stuff that would bring everyone together that we all love, from older to younger. Mm-hmm. Would you want to? Is that part of what you would want to implement to bridge the gaps or anything in that type of manner? I'm just wondering.
Of course. So if you break up the word community, it's common unity. Right? So we have to find those things that we have in common. And that's what's going to bring us together. So for me right now, I'm just growing up here, and I know that people say, oh, it doesn't matter that you're from Plainfield, but to me it does. So, that our city has never been so divided. So.
Somebody actually said that to you. It don't matter that you're from Plainfield.
Yeah, at the debate the other day.
Because that's what they told me. That's ridiculous, because when you think about community policing and stuff like that, that's why we have violence against, citizens and police, because they're not a part of the community. So how can you say that doesn't matter with with the mayor or anyone that's in politics as well? That matters. You're vested in what's going on here.
It's almost impossible for someone that's not from where you are from to love it more than you, even if they love the people. They might just love people and their culture, but you don't know the inner workings if you're not from there. There's no way that doesn't matter. That's just crazy.
Or even if you're not from here, you have to be a part of the fabric of the city. So you constantly have to be out amongst the people to understand their wants and needs, and that just hasn't been going on.
So they want to get technical, meaning that you're not from here as far as birth. Maybe you wasn't born here, raised your whole life. But if you, like you said, if you're here all the time, you're automatically a community person. Mm-hmm. You could live in North Plainfield. It doesn't matter.
D, thank you, BD. I got a question for you. Born in Plainfield, moving you about 15, moved to Piscataway. I'm going to name 2 neighboring cities of Plainfield. I want you to honestly tell me how you feel when you cross each of these borders. So you cross 7th Street, and you're in Piscataway now. And you live in Piscataway, from Piscataway. Does it feel any different from you crossing, you're going to Piscataway, Middlesex County, but then you cross Tail Road, now you're in Scotch Plains? Is there any difference or same feel?
To me, no. To most people that are, just not suspect, but they're more cautious about the police and stuff like that. Yeah, I would say most people do. I don't.
No doubt.
I ain't worried about that. But, most people do. They always say, oh, I ain't crossing Tail Road going to Scotch Plains. We're going to get pulled over. First cop to see us, stuff like that. I don't roll with those type perceptions, so I don't really believe in it. But I know a lot of people do, and it's real. And it's because the makeup. I mean, the police force in Scotch Plains is different than the police force in Piscataway. and it's clear it's more diverse in Piscataway than is Scotch Plains. So, you know, same thing if they go into South Plainfield or if they go into North Plainfield. I think nobody's worried about crossing over going to Piscataway, but everything else I just said, they
Or
worried
bordering.
about. Yeah, everything else they worried about. So.
You know why? Because you're not from here.
Yeah.
You're not from there. So it's like you almost feel trapped
Yeah,
where you
definitely,
are.
definitely.
Thank you. Both of y'all. What we are part of Union County, but it feels like we're from Plainfield. We don't sometimes feel the same energy or familiarity till we maybe get to Elizabeth. Why is such a gap between city to city?
Communication.
Communication.
That's the key thing. So it's communication. So if we know, we all know. For me, when I first got my first car on Terra Road, I had tents. As soon as I was on Terra Road and got on the Scotch Plains side, I was getting pulled over. And, you know, so people, they always complain like, oh, the harassment that our people from Plainfield feel when they go into these communities. It's a conversation that needs to take place. And like we said, we're not from there, so we're always going to feel that. But what's going on in Plainfield, we had so many officers that you will want to be police officers who were not feeling the support, and they left. How many young officers do you know that have left?
Know a few.
Like 5.
Some have been part of the show.
And then I know a few
Gee.
that's trying to get on, and they won't hire them, no matter, and they're qualified. But because of, I don't know, say relationships or whatever they think, whatever they may think, they won't hire them. But they're qualified. And that goes back to community policing. You want somebody that knows everyone.
Knows a community, yeah. So the question that you asked them, when I'm in Plainfield, any other town that I go to, of course I'm going to put my seatbelt on, sit up, do those things in Plainfield. But I know if I get pulled over, it's a 90% chance that I know the officer that pulled me over, even as a young man. You know, so that's why that's important, to have the people from the community policing the community as well. And even getting back to those programs that we had, like PAL program, where that's how you bridge the gap between the police and the community, making sure that they're constantly involved in the community.
Thank you.
I got a question for Richard real quick.
Good.
Running for mayor, like I've been thinking about this whole time, like obviously, you know, the black community, been part of it. And how do you deal with the Hispanic community? Like, how do you get their votes? How are you reaching out to them and trying to connect with them and, you know, get them to come out for you and vote?
Great question, dude.
Yeah, so we have, so Plainfield is a very diverse community. So our Latinx community, so knowing that there's language barriers, and so when I become mayor, I'm going to be the mayor of the entire town, not just, not breaking up the wards or just the black community, the entire community. So what we did was strategically, we made sure that we had Latinx people on our team, because it's like, okay, what concerns do you have? What do we need to address? And once you get past the language barrier and you sit down and have a conversation, you start realizing that we pretty much want and need the same things. So that's the way. So we're making sure that we get out, just like we go canvassing every single day, knocking on doors, talking to people in the community. If there's a language barrier, then we make sure we either have someone with us or we send them back to make sure that we have open up them lines of communication.
Man, thank you. That was. Do we have anyone else before we wrap it up? We had some people on the check-in. Shout out to everybody on the check-in. I know we have Chance from North Carolina. You had a question. You gonna say it to me? You said in the words. Shout out to everybody on the check-in. Chance, Craig. Shout out to Uncle Mike. Shout out to Bobby. Shout out to Everyell. You got a lot of people checking in for you. Did we have a question about what does, and this shout out to Tommy Tidwell, shout out to Lou Smith, everybody on the check-in, please like and share. What does a family consist of in 2021 is one of the questions that he had. This is coming from Greenville, North Carolina. Someone asking you, what would you...
That's in reference back to where he was talking about family and importance of family. I guess
that was when he was asking it. He was asking it back then, and I think you pretty much covered it with your answer, and the example that you've been showing, the way you've been leading with your family. Before we close out, is there anything that we did not cover that you would like to let us know before. First of all, when is the election? Some people don't know when the election is.
Yeah. So the election is June 8th, but more importantly than that right now, tomorrow is the deadline to register to vote if you are not registered. So what you can do is go to vote411.org. So if you don't know if you're registered, there's a click on that.
Somebody put that link
in.
inside this chat, please, for YouTube and Facebook.
Vote411.org. You can register online. It takes less than 2 minutes. If you have the last 4 digits of your social security, you have to sign it. Or if you have an ID, you put your identification number in, and it's good to go. So you have to make sure, we have to make sure that we push that message. So if you want change, you have to use your voice and vote. Because if you don't, then you're okay with the status quo. That's exactly what you're saying. So people who are, they like the movement, they feel it's a time for a change, you have to make sure that you vote. And it starts by making sure that you're registered to vote. And if you don't vote, you know, who was that? Diddy that coined the vote or die a few years ago. So it's that serious. So and even with the politicians and people are on the local level. So for me, if they continue to stay silent, then you are a part of the problem. And the blood that is shed on our streets, the blood is on your hands as well. So us as a community, if you do not stand up and say, you know what, enough is enough, I'm going to make sure I do everything that I can possibly do to make a change, then the blood is on your hands as well. So,
are people going to be notified exactly where they're supposed to go to vote?
Yes, yep. So you'll be notified where you're supposed to vote. They send it out. You can also check online. But for those that don't know, so if you live by a school in the city of Plainfield, it's going to be one of the schools that you live by. But they do send that out. Or you can reach out to info@richardwyattformayor.com. If you need any assistance with any of these things, then we will gladly help you with all of them. And we also will have transportation on June 8th for anybody that needs transportation. We have shuttles running throughout the city to take people to go and vote. All right.
Richard, we absolutely wish you the best with your campaign. 100% respect. I know this is tough for anyone in politics. It's a crucial game. It's an unforgiving game. It's an unforgiving.
From Plainfield, it's not that tough, man.
Oh man, I like hearing that. Man. But they was built like that.
That's right.
They was built as a mighty Cardinals for any city, for anything.
LOD.
They were built like that. We wish you the best of luck. We appreciate you for coming on our show.
Definitely.
We absolutely appreciate you for coming on our show. Shout out to all the barbers. Shout out to all the stylists. Shout out to the community of Plainfield. Please get out there and vote for whoever you vote for. Do not complain if you did not vote. I don't want to hear the complaints. Don't call the show. Don't hit the DMs. If you do not vote. Now, for some, they can't vote for certain reasons. But if you have the power to vote and you don't exercise your right, just don't complain. Just don't complain. We always say if you want to donate to Beards N Baldheads, this is how you can do it. If you want to know about great education, this is a book that you can buy. Sumo Wrestlers and Supermodels. Shout out to everybody out there. Shout out to Richard Wyatt. That's Joe Plummer, like right there. You want to give any last shouts before we close this out?
Yep. So I would just like to close out by thanking you all for inviting me on this platform. And I'm looking at 4 black men here, and I would like to say that I love y'all. We don't do that enough in our community, and that's what we got to get back to, and not just saying it, but really meaning it. Like, it's so much pain, and our community needs healing. So we have to make sure that we do that. And so the time is now, June 8th. Vote Richard Wyatt, column C. Also running with Terry Briggs. That's Kyle's mom, Too Much Sauce. So it's time for a change. And, Brandon Scott did it. He started it off. Now it's our time to run our leg of the race, and we're going to do it in record speed. Just like this one right here.
Shout out to my barber. Shout out to my stylist. Shout out to Brooklyn. He was ready to die. Vote or die. Y'all know about it if y'all can't see the bag. We have Beards and Baldheads. See y'all next week.